My name is Christy Puckett Williams, and I am a North Carolina native. I have spent time in carceral spaces due to my victimhood, my survivorship, and my substance use disorder being criminalized. And while I was in the carceral system, I experienced pregnancy while being incarcerated. As a result of not receiving any prenatal care, I took a plea deal, and 6 days later, I had a set of twins who remained in the NICU for 21 days. And so my work today centers around honoring motherhood and centering the dignity and humanity of incarcerated people, but especially those who are substance using and pregnant. They need their basic needs to be met because it's very difficult to focus on being lawful when your basic needs have not been met. And these are primary caretakers. These are people who not just are pregnant in that moment, but oftentimes have other children, are the cornerstone of their families. And yes, they may have challenges, but they are more than the worst thing that they have ever done. They are more than the charges on that paper. And they really, really, really need care, compassion, and concern. They need to be treated with dignity and respect, something that they may not even have for themselves in that moment, but they need other people to model that for them. Substance use and violence disconnects you from your own humanity. And it takes a lot of work to reconnect. And so it is my opinion that people inside of the system could start to help foster some of those reconnections by the interactions that they have. I'll never forget, I came into the courtroom one day. I was very big and pregnant, and I was shackled in my hands and my feet. I had been sitting down in the basement of that courthouse all day. My body was aching. I was tired. Again, I was pregnant with twins. And when I got into that courtroom at about 4:50, and I came shuffling and shackled around my waist and around my feet with clothes that were too big because carceral facilities oftentimes don't have maternity clothes, so they issue you really big clothes to wear, making you susceptible to falling and tripping. And when the judge saw me in that courtroom shackled with those too big clothes on, very big and pregnant, he said, "Who shackled her? Unshackle her. Let her go." And it was the first time in my incarceration that anyone had advocated for me to be unshackled. And it was the first clue that I had that shackling wasn't something that had to be done. It was a choice being made by carceral staff to do that. I'll never forget the deputies' hands were shaking as they were trying to get the keys off their belt to unshackle me. And the judge made them order me to allow me to sit down. He asked me, how was I doing that day? Why was I here? What was I there for? And even though I was there for some very serious drug charges, whatever I was before him for that day, he completely dismissed all those charges, saying that I had larger fish to fry and he was not going to add to my pain and to my trouble. And so 14 years, remember that conversation like it was yesterday. Because even though I don't remember the judge's name, I remember how he made me feel. He made me feel like a human. He made me feel like someone who deserved to be treated properly. And it was from that moment on, I knew that the way that I had been treated was inhumane, was not right. And it was in that moment that my advocacy began to be born. And so how you treat somebody in those moments can change the trajectory of their life. I probably would not be here today had that judge not stood up for me in that moment and said, she does not deserve to be shackled. I would still probably not know that that was something that was wrong. It was through his advocacy in that moment that I was awakened to my own dignity and my own humanity. And that is the role that system actors can play. You can help foster a person's reconnection to a life that they thought was gone forever. My own abuse and substance use had deadened my conscience. I didn't feel anything. And I began to feel as I moved through the system, and I needed system actors who understood that I had spent many years not feeling. Now I was beginning to feel and to help me manage those feelings. And so I would just say that treat the people who are in front of you as if they were your child, your brother, your sister, your family member, because they are someone's child. They are someone's family member. They do have people that love them. And we just, as a community, have to foster that love and that reconnection. Families are the foundation of our communities. And every day, system actors tear families apart and don't do anything that help promote families and promote healing, which also promotes safety. So my best advice is to try to think of ways to disrupt poverty, make real connections with families, making resources available to them. Because when a parent is incarcerated, their unborn child and their other children are incarcerated with them. So you're not just locking up a mom, you're locking up an entire family.